like to talk about how to use Metahuman, how to create a customized Metahuman, and how to animate this Metahuman with iPhone. It's a pretty complicated process, but as a result, you can get a really wonderful high fidelity digital captures, and you are able to animate this capture using your iPhone. It's a very fast process. If you consider to do this, it could be done in a few days, but if you do this manually using keyframe, this will take weeks, right? So to get started, there are 3 links you should watch. The first one is a Metahuman page at Unreal Engine. Just make sure you go through this, get a good understanding of what is Metahuman, some terminologies, what is a face rig means, what the sequencer means, how everything is connected. Second link you should do is just Google Unreal documentation with Metahuman. So here is covered pretty much every single detail you need to know, how to create Metahuman, how to animate Metahuman, and also plus some of the example files you can download. The third one you should use is a live link, which is the app in Apple Store. This is one we are using. Use Animator and Face Link to create Metahuman capture and then animate. I also have this really kind of abstract diagram to show the overall process, how to do the capture. Once you capture the data, how to use the data to create a 3D mesh, and this is called Metahuman identity. And then you go through these 7 steps. You create the Metahuman. You can push this model online, and then you have this performance data. You can use it to create additional animations. Right? So create a mesh and then create additional animations. And this animation later can be assembled into a sequencer. Then you can produce video clips. I will also talk a little bit like once you have the data pushed into the Metahuman creator, which is online, you can download through the Quixel. And then I will talk briefly about this hierarchy within this Metahuman BP, how the face body is organized, and how you can use various component to add, for example, glasses. In my case, this is not in original Metahuman, but I can add this easily once you understand what the component means in Metahuman. And also some highly detailed terminologies related to physics, animation BP, and how to customize the skeleton. All right, so I think that is pretty much about the whole picture. So let's get started with the first part, plugins. This is the easy one. Just make sure you go to Unreal Plugins, and then you activate Metahuman plugin plus Live Link plugin, and also I think Apple AR Kit. So these are the plugins you need. Okay. Once you have the plugin and restart your editor, then you can start to do the capture. Capture is really easy. You create a new folder, then you create this Metahuman source, which basically is a pointer to the IP address of your iPhone. Just follow the instructions on the Unreal documentation if you know how to do it. Once you create this source pointed, then you can use the window. You can use a tool called, I believe it's called Capture Manager. Yeah, this is the one. I already have this Capture Manager, and then you double click your iPhone, you should see the footage you captured. So in my case, I have this calibration footage. I use it to create a mesh, and also I have a small clip, a short clip, talk about some dialogues related, just for the testing purpose. Okay, so this is in the iPhone. And the way you can bring them in, just make a selection, you can add to the queue, and then you can do the import. Since I already did this already, I don't need to do this again. Okay. Once you have this one import, basically it creates this kind of, this is called source, right? In the source, you have, this is called footage. I did a couple of times so you can see they all here. The footage basically is a collection of RGB, depth, sound, and also you have the data like point to the media and calibration. If you're curious about this, you can always double click. It will tell you, exactly what is within this footage. You can also see the folder. Within the folder, you have this calibration data, RGB, and the depth data. If you're interested to see the details, you can actually open the File Explorer, and you can see this is the file you asset. I believe you can also see the original individual, depth frames as well as RGB frames. Okay, so they are all kind of captured here as images. So this could make our file really big. Easily you can consume like 20G data in your computer. So just be careful when you bring this footage in. This could take a lot of space. Okay. So once you have everything in, then you will go ahead to start using 3 poses, left, right, and front, to create a mesh. So this is done through the Metahuman identity. So here first is a good idea. You just go to a new folder. I create this new folder. I create this called Metahuman identity. Again, can be done just by go here, Metahuman identity. Right? So identity, basically, if you double click, I give you this really nice interface, allow you to go through the 7 steps. It do ask me to log in because at one of the steps, you're gonna push the data into the Metahuman creator, which is online, and that's the reason you need to log in. Okay, so I already did this, so I don't have to redo. So basically, the first component is face. You create a component, then you promote 3 frames, front, left, and then you do the track markers, then you do the solve. This will take a long time. Then you push to the Metahuman, which is on cloud. Then you do the teeth. Then you prepare to the performance. So that is the whole process. I don't think I want to go back, but just want to show you quickly the result. So once you've gone through these 7 steps, you should be able to see these neutral poses. So here's the front, here's the right, here's the left, and also you can definitely see they are pretty close, right? Basically, is the smart algorithm automatically generated this for you, and you can definitely see. All right, that is come from both RGB as well as a depth mesh. Okay. All right. So I think that is every single thing you need to know regarding how to generate the Metahuman identity. Okay. So just keep in mind when you push this to cloud, you need to have a full body. So in this case, you do need to pick up a body. It could be any of these available in the library. Okay. I just did a default, but you can customize the height if you want. Okay, so I think that's it. How to create Metahuman identity. And as you see in this diagram I showed in Mesh to Metahuman, step number 5, you push this into the Metahuman creator. Right. I don't need to show the Metahuman creator. I assume everybody uses it already. It's a place you can customize your Metahuman. You can create hair, mustache, beard. You can customize the skin color. So this is all in the Metahuman creator. Okay, and then you can use Quixel to push back into the Metahuman BP. So here I will show you really quick the one I pushed, right? So once I have this Quixel, which is the name of the plugin, right? So here is Quixel Bridge. Then you should be able to see the MetaHuman available there. And I go to my MetaHumans. This is the one I customized, adding hires, customize the clothes, shoe, anything you like. So once you have them, then you can have these options to download, add into your Unreal project, right? So once I add them in, basically, you have to give a name. They will show up in this folder called MetaHuman folder. This is everything downloaded. I'm using the higher resolution, so this one take about 700 megabits space, but it's really good. Once you have it, you can definitely see it's a highly detailed MetaHuman, and it has various components, including body, face. This is the two most important one, and also you have component like torso, leg, feet, and this will actually pointing to the external files like tops, bottoms, shoes. The face is pointing to the face skeletal mesh. Body is pointing to the body skeletal mesh. Plus, it has the event graph, which you have this BP you can link to iPhone. Okay, so let's talk really quick. So here's all the component. If I click body, you can see the body is pointing to the skeletal mesh, right? So that's how it's linked. If I click face, face is pointing to this skeletal mesh. So any of this, I will just using face and body to demo. So body, if I double click, I'm able to open the skeletal mesh, and this one has skeleton. You can see the tree, the hierarchy here. You can see the animation you can associate with. Just keep in mind this animation, because I download a template from MetaHuman project, so I do have some add-ons like animation already converted using the mapping or the retargeting. But if you are using a brand new project, you don't have this animation. So one way you can bring in is go to marketplace, or you can load in just third person capture. Then you can do the remapping, retargeting, right? So this is the animation can be attached. Also, you have this is called animation BP. This could be a little bit confusing. The BP basically has two components. Animation BP is an event graph and animation graph. This is control the logic. So if I go to animation graph, there's some basic logic you can customize, either in the event graph or animation graph. Right? I think for the face, this is really the one you can take a look. In the face, I have this face skeletal mesh. Double click. It looks a little bit scary, but you see here is the face animation BP. Oh, by the way, there is also the last one is the physics. So if you go to animation BP, this is the logic, how the face can be, controlled by the external live linked data. In this case, is an iPhone. Okay. Yeah. So this is the logic here. About last one is the physics. So if I double click, this is physics for the face. And if I go to let's close too many. Yeah, this is the body. If I double click the physics, this is the physics for the body. You don't really have to do anything unless you are doing something like unconventional, adding another, maybe a tail for your character. But you don't really have to mess up with any of the physics. All right, so this is the basic, I would say, hierarchy of the skeletal mesh. Right, you have the face, you have the body. These are the two most important one. I do want to mention is you can there's many ways you can add animation in. You can add animation directly here. All you can do is, if you click your body, so this is animation BP. In some case, you can switch to animation asset, then you can target to animation asset. Usually, I don't do this here. I keep everything as animation BP. But if I do need to customize, I will usually do this in the level. So in the level, we'll drag a character in the component. So here, if you see all the hierarchies, yeah, sorry, my screen is kind of really busy, crowded. So here you can see the root, right? And then if you click body, and you are able to customize the body with a different animation. So in this case, I switched from animation BP to animation asset, and then I did idle. So that's the reason the body is idle, has some subtle change. You can do looping, playing. That's how it works. Okay, I think that's it about the hierarchy. Then let's talk quickly how to capture the animation. I think this is the most exciting part. You should capture. There are two ways you can do the capture. I will first talk about the long way and then the shortcut way. Both of way will assemble things into the sequencer, which is really the place you can assemble multiple captures. You can assemble a camera. You can keyframe things. So it's a pretty good way you can edit these channels and then produce a video clip at the end. So let's talk a little bit about the longer way or the kind of new way using the Metahuman plugin. So if you recall, at the end of the Metahuman identity, the last step in this one is prepare the performance, right? If I going back to let's close this. It's too many folders has been opened. I will just open the one I showed you earlier, is the Metahuman identity, right? So as a part of this last step, you prepare for the performance. So what exactly happened after? Well, you could go ahead, create a performance file, and there you can assemble using the identity as well as the captured data, right? To assemble things for animation. So first, in the Metahuman performance, and this is one I create a new folder. I create a performance. By the way, this is right click, right, Metahuman performance. Basically, it's a stage you can associate the identity with a captured data. So double click. You can see that. So first, you need to identify the captured data, which is another footage I have, a short talk. Then you have to link to identity. Okay. A really good thing about these interfaces is actually allow you to override the mesh. So you could actually just using another Metahuman as your preview mesh. So that will really, this is really convenient. Right. Once you have this in, you can also see it has all the rigging here. Right. It's associated with it. Yeah, I think right, you can definitely check the visibility of this component. All right. So once you have this in, the next thing you want to do is start just process. It will take some time, depends on GPU. So at the end of the process, you basically see this footage will be mapped directly into the Metahuman face, as well as the rigging, right? You can definitely see the rigging, right? All of this yellow dot, right? They actually represent the every single channel of your rigging. So here, if you look at here is eye, jaw, mouse, tongue. So this is all kind of captured here. That's the reason this file could be pretty big. And also keep in mind, this is using the footage with both RGB and depths. So it's pretty accurate. I studied, I think the lip sync is pretty close. It's actually better than another way, than the live capture. But anyway, you can see this rigging is updating. Okay. All right. So I think that is how you do the performance capture. Once you capture this, there are two ways you can export, right? The first one is export animation. Second is export level sequence. I will show you both. In fact, I think export to level sequence is really easy. You can definitely see the result. So if you click export level sequence, I already did this one in export, and you can see level sequence. I think this is the one I exported. I did twice. So if I open that, you can see it's basically show you a quick assembled level sequence with, sorry for the cluster of my window, with a camera, right, which is here. I will just change this to on light so you can see. So a camera here and also a clip show the video plus is MetaHuman. The MetaHuman head can come from this any of these MetaHuman. If you do have, let's say, a different face here, you can basically swap with a new one. Okay. So here, if I click my face, and then in the properties, yeah, I definitely should have dual screen. That's easier. So if you click face, here's the properties. You can swap to a different face, right? Yeah. So that's it. There's a lot of faces available. This is actually the default one, come from the performance solver, but don't really have skin. That's the reason I kind of switched to the MetaHuman version. Okay, so that is how you create the level sequence, and then you can do lots of things. After you swap it, you can right click this facial control rig. You have many options you can do right after that. All right. So for example, you can bake it. You can convert to other type of animations. Yeah, I think that's how this is working. You can bake this animation. So in this case, I actually showed you this channel. You can bake animation. So later you can compile this to another sequencer. I want to show you is export animation. This is more kind of direct way. So close this. Right. Back to the performance. Right. So here you can do the export animation. When you do this, you can basically pointing to a location to save the animation file. Just keep in mind when you export animation, there is a really tricky thing is how you want to solve the head rotation. I think this is kind of depends. If you are not really care too much about the body, you can make the head just as a control rig or transform track. But if you want to, the head fixed without rotation, you can do disable. If you do want to attach to the head, so control rig is actually preferred way. Or you can do the disable if you don't care too much about the neck rotation. Right? So these are the options. I did a couple of exporting, and I saved them all in this export folder, so I can show you. I did T1, B, C, D, E. So they have just a different flavors. So I believe T1C is the one I did exporting without head rotation. So that's the reason you see the shoulder is kind of fixed. If you look at all the channels at the end, there is a head rotation being controlled. I think it's disabled as 0. Okay. So that is T1C and T1B. I believe this is one with the head rotation. Right? You see the shoulder moved a little bit, the neck moved a little bit. Right? So this is the B. If I open T1, this is one I think is with the transform. So the shoulder is actually rotating. So they have different options you can can choose. We'll export this animation. This animation just the head, the face. Also D and E, I believe this is exported by baking the animation. That's the reason head is different. So this one is a fixed, no rig. The second one is there's some head rotation. You can see the neck is moving a little bit, right? Not too much. So this rotation has been preserved. Right? You can double check at the end. Right? This is the values control the neck, the head translation. Yep, I think that's it. This is how to export animation, and then at the end you can assemble them in a sequencer. So this is something I can show you really quick. I have already assembled into a sequencer. Actually, a couple of sequencers. So this is the first one. Double click. Oh, this is actually the one captured through live link. So I will edit this one. Yeah, this is the one I just using animation assembled this. Right. So basically, you just add the BP capture from the content browser. Make sure they spawn. Right, they spawn. Then you basically has face and body, and here you can go ahead, click animation, and then in the animation you should be able to see there is options. You can just simply attach animation to it. Yep, that's the whole process. I'm not sure if everybody know how to use sequencer. Basically, if you click a character, right, here you can add a track. The character already has a body and a face, so basically you have two tracks you can add in. So in the body track, if you add here is animation, and then you can point to animation you want to add in for your body. The same thing you can do this for your face, right? So in this case, you can see in the body animation, I basically just have an idle, so the body doesn't really move too much. Just idle a little bit, but for the face, when I add the track animation, I using the one I exported from DEBC1. So depends on which one I want to use. I could adding the face in. Okay, so once the face and body is linked, I did this disable post process. This is some tricks shared by the community. You can make sure the neck is always locked to the body. So sometimes you have to do this trick to make sure they're locked just by disable the post process. But anyway, this is something you can search online. You can definitely find some discussions and some here's the disable post process, and here's adding the key to the track. Right, just Google it. You can find some discussion. Okay, I think that is a super long journey, right? To bake the animation, put animation into the sequencer. I do want to show you there's an easier way. If you don't care too much about the accuracy, you just want to get something done really quick, really dirty way. So you could use a live link to record a take that can be assembled into the sequencer. Okay, so I will show you really quick another way to do so. So if I want to capture, for example, this face, so first I need to make sure in your iPhone you activate the live link. So you have the IP address, right? And then you go to, let's close this too. And then you go to your window, then you go to visual production, you go to live link. Again, live link is not really new. It has been there for many years. You can link external software, motion tracker, many things into Unreal. So live link here, if you do have an iPhone, it will show up here. Again, you can follow the tutorials. They cover pretty much. Then after you have this guy, then you want to make sure this character has, ARKit, linked, activate using that source, right? And then you can go ahead create a take. So first, you want to create a sequencer. In this case, I already did a sequencer here. In a sequencer, you can record a take. So I believe it's in a window virtual production. It's a virtual production of cinematics. I think it's in the cinematics. Then you do the take recorder. Again, if you're not familiar with what is take, just Google. There will be tutorials you can learn. So here you can create a target of your take. All right. In this case, this will be my BP, and you can just click the red. If you just capture your face when you have an iPhone, connect to it. You can talk. You can do facial animation. This face will do. Then you capture that. Once you capture it into a take, I can show you quickly. It should automatically go to the cinematics folder, and here I have takes. And I already did a couple of times, many times actually. You can see in the last few days. So each time you do a take, it will be captured, all sequenced, based on the number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and each one, if you double click, you basically see a sequencer, and you can definitely see there's something has been captured in the past few days. You can see that this one is actually pretty good. If you don't like it, here's another one I captured. This one is not too dramatic. Yep. And here's another one. I think this one probably is. Yeah, there's another one. So I captured a lot, right? So the way you can assemble this take into a sequencer is just really simple. You can just add and drag and drop. Yeah, I don't think I need to show you that. It's just basic sequencer stuff, right? So here you can see this is a take. I just dragged in, right? Added into the sequencer. If you don't like it, you can switch the takes to other takes. You have too many takes, you can switch. Usually it's a good practice to make the take a little bit, start earlier. So in this one, I start in a -10. And I trimmed a little bit. So you can definitely edit this take based on your pre-reference. Okay, so this is called subsequence. Basically, is a take. All right, you can switch. All right, I think that's it. This is how you add the recorded iPhone animation into the sequencer. So the last one is you want to produce a video clip, right? So if you're happy with it, just go ahead, render the video clip. This can be done as easy as just, for example, I want to export this guy. I would just simply add the camera right here. So as long as you have the camera, you have a bunch of new tools. Then you can just click, render. So you can render this. But this looks pretty blurry. The reason is, if I switch to the camera I just created, which you can see here. Let me close this one. It's called a cinematic camera, right? So this camera has properties called lens as well as focus. So there are many ways you can do it. So first, maybe I want to control the lens like 50 millimeter. This is a very common standard camera. Then the focus, you can do this manually, or you can use a pick to pick the object. Sometimes it's not accurate. You can activate the it's called a debug focus plan, and then you can just start to reduce the focus plan as soon as you see this intersection. So this is the way you can sort of pointing to the focal distance. If you're happy with it, then you should be able to keyframe. Just make sure this value you want to add a keyframe. Basically, you see this red dot show up. This value, focal distance, now is logged into this value. Then you can turn off Yeah, this is how you can focus your camera into a very accurate distance. And then you can go ahead, render, and then you can, render as a sequence of JPEG, PNG, then you render this and assemble this in video editing program. Okay, that is how you produce the video file. If you don't want the video, just want to have high resolution image, the another way you can do is just simply do here. I will check the game view, so it's not showing all the gizmos. Then you do this high resolution screen capture. This is a quick way. So here I will do capture. I will bouncing this to 3. You will definitely complain it's too high, but it's totally okay. Now you have this super high resolution PNG captured face. Yeah, I think that's how you get the face easily captured. I really like this way because sometimes you can do, let's say, detail lighting. Yeah, it just capture everything, as it should be. Capture that. Now you have a detailed lighting. Okay. All right. I think that is pretty much I want to cover. Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff in this short video, right? How to start the documentation, tutorials, how to load the plugins, how to create capture footage, how to create a mesh based on the footage, and how to create animation based on the footage, and how to link animation into sequencer. And we also talk a little bit using the live link and record a take, many takes, then you can assemble as a sequencer. The goal is you can produce a video. We also covered a little bit in the face body hierarchy. What is the relationship between these individual files? Just keep in mind, Unreal is the Metahuman is a relatively complicated structure. So sometimes, if you want to dig into the, for example, animation graph, you have to know what exactly the trace, right? You can find the file. The nice thing about this is all the face, all the body, they share the same hierarchy. So if I created one, right? If I go to, MetaHuman, right? So you can see this is one I created, and here's the face, right? You don't really see this has anything common with other face, but actually they do. This is a face structure. If I really look at the the skeletons, maybe this is something I just show you quickly. All the hierarchies. So this is every single face has exactly the same rig. That make the translation really simple. If you want to swap animation from one face to another, you can just as simple as repoint to the animation. So that's as simple as this, because all the faces share the same hierarchy, same rigging, same bones. All right, I think that's it. I hope this video is useful to give you a big picture of the metahuman. Again, feel free to dive into it. You will enjoy the depths of these wonderful, wonderful tools.